I'm Ann Heuberger, and I am currently a member of the Del Valle ISD Board of Trustees, and I've spent 30 years in public schools as a librarian and an activist for public education.
And I am Heather Rule. I am a project manager at Heuberger Architects, and I have the honor of being on the Del Valle Education Foundation with Ann as well.
From an early age, I love books, and I think from like middle school, junior high back in the day, I wanted to be a school librarian, and we had a school librarian, one of the few in our county school system, and I went to East Tennessee State University. I was certified to teach secondary history, another love, and I ended up as a school librarian from day one, and that's been my path. I was also a very much activist for public education and employees, and supporting our employees for better salaries and benefits and supplies for our students and resources for our students.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And now you're a board member.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you went from being on the educator side to being on the public board member representative side.
That has been an interesting journey. I had ended up in Austin and with the Texas State Teachers Association, and then I retired, and one of the neighbors called and said, we need a representative. Would you be interested in serving on the school board? I have a very small single-member district, and I love it. I've learned a lot on the management side of school districts, but I think it's real important to always be aware of what the community needs, our student needs, and our staff needs. And I think Del Valle, I'm just really proud to be on the board that represents our community so well and provides so much for our students.
Yes, I think you guys do it really well. You know that my heart is out in Del Valle as well.
Yes. And of course, Heuberger's played such a big part in building our incredible facilities that we have in Del Valle. So.
And more coming soon.
I know.
You've had a long career and you've seen a lot of changes. We were talking before about some of the fun technological changes that we see, especially being in South by Week here in Austin.
Oh, that's true. Particularly being a woman, is the fact that I graduated from college the year Title IX passed, 1972. And when I was in school, girls typically became a secretary, a nurse, or a teacher. There were no role models like you all are to women to become architects and in construction industry. And that's one thing I'm so proud of Del Valle, that the opportunities that public education has opened up. And being raised in the 60s, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, and it just really does make you think about your life and what impacted your life. And I think that has a lot to do with it. But then I laugh, when I first became a librarian, we had 16mm projectors and film strip projectors and record players, but I feel like I've been part of the technology movement for sure.
Yeah, and Del Valle has a lot of that technology in-house, but there's amazing CTE programs. We were at a Tesla event, and the girl that shared her story about fabricating or installing the front of the Cybertruck, I still get chills every time I think of that, and every time I see one drive by, I go, a girl did that.
I know, that's right.
A woman did that.
She said every time a truck goes by, she thinks I was probably part of building that Cybertruck. I know, and the opportunities are amazing. We want to make sure our kids are always ready for the world.
Very cool. You know, we're talking about girls going into the workforce. What advice would you give young girls and women as they go into the workforce?
Probably to believe in yourself, be true to yourself, and I always think women should support other women. So many people I've seen want to take shortcuts and they put down other people, but there's amazing things you're going to learn from everyone that you're working with.
What about, do you have a couple mentors that really shaped your career path?
Well, my mom was a really strong mom. Thinking back in our community, we had so many widows, and the women were so strong. They ran their farms, they ran their homes, and my mom was such a strong influence, I think. I know lots of people say that, but when I look back at the fact that she always voted and she always was involved in the community, and I think myself and my siblings have always followed that. The librarian I probably don't know if I would have become a librarian if I had not had a librarian in my school from 6th grade through 12th grade. Right.
So you talked a lot about being involved in advocacy, and I think you do some amazing advocacy. What advice would you give me if I wanted to get more involved in advocating for public education in Texas?
Oh, goodness. I would recommend that anyone could get involved with an education foundation with their school districts, because almost every district has one now. We've not had increased state funding. So there's so many needs, and we do the student scholarships, and we provide innovative grants for our staff and recognize our teachers of the year, and things that just need to build the district and provide the resources.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about leadership. You've been a leader in many different areas. What do you think are the most important qualities a leader can have? And what are qualities that a woman leader can especially bring to the table?
I don't know if there's anything different with a woman, but I do think there has to be integrity. You really have to show integrity. I also think I've learned really on the school board, there needs to be vision. You can't just think of today or tomorrow, even a year. You have to think about years and what am I doing impacting students in 20 years? We need to be mentors in some way for our students. Sometimes we get very narrow in our worlds, but I think we always need to think about how we're impacting the world around us and our future. Now that I'm much older, there's a future out there that we need to embrace.
Yes.
I mean, to think that I'm still waiting for us to elect the first woman president.
I'm right there with you.
But the fact that we now have CEOs and women, so many women have started their own businesses. And I love history. So I go back and I look at where history was leading up to World War II, and women were so impactful in the U.S. and the world. And I think we just need to make sure that women still have a strong place in the world.
I agree. And I think that's something that, to me, it always inspires me when I see so many situations around me where women step up to the plate in leadership. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I graduated from college. There were no women's sports when I was in high school and college. And my first year teaching as a librarian was the first year that our junior high had girls' sports, and they bought one set of uniforms for the basketball and volleyball and track to share. It just is amazing to me. So it took from World War II to 1972 for the United States to say women are equal.
Wow. And now when we design a school, we're designing the locker rooms for both girls and boys. What's the best advice you've ever received?
I'm not really sure when I think about. Sometimes, in life, things just happen. And maybe it's if you take advantage of that circumstance. And the world opened up to me as part of the Texas State Teachers Association. I traveled all across Texas. I traveled across the country.
Wow.
Through the National Education Association. I served on that board of directors. And I served on that board because someone encouraged me to run for that position. Maybe some people I know have those goals. I'm going to be president of this organization, or I'm going to do this. I think sometimes it takes someone to remind you that you can do that. And I did, and it just kind of led to other things.
Yeah. So what project or initiative now are you really excited about that you're involved in?
One of the things I've done in the last few years is I became a volunteer deputy registrar to register people to vote, which I'm very passionate about people voting. I have the honor of going to our high school and talking to our seniors every fall. I do share the history of voting because, as we know, it took women many, many years to get the right to vote. But I want to make sure the students understand their importance in the role of voting, that every vote counts, and that they need to research. And I tell them, your candidate may not win, but you have been part of the process. And then the Education Foundation, it's been a long time coming, as you know, and so I was really honored to be asked by our school board president, Rebecca Birch, to serve as a board representative and to be a founding member. The biggest part I play in right now is, beside the school board, is being on the foundation board to make sure we're fundraising. It's hard for districts to come up with money, so now the Education Foundations can help with that.
And hopefully we can continue to grow it and get to the point where we can fund every single one of those ideas.
And more scholarships. More scholarships.
Yes. Always so much we can do. So speaking of all the things we can do, what message would you leave for viewers of the Woman to Woman series?
I think just to be proud to be a woman, be strong in your beliefs, whatever they are. And we need to make sure that young girls have leaders to look up to and to mentor. Young adults are under such stress right now that I think we can play a role in helping them deal with that stress. We've been conditioned, maybe my generation, conditioned not to ask for help. But I think we need to learn to rely on each other. because that can help lower the stress level.
That is amazing advice. That is amazing advice. Well, thank you, Anne, so much for joining us today. This has been a pleasure of a conversation. Every time I'm with you, I learn something new. I like to say I learned through Anne that there's some extinct volcanoes in Austin.
Oh, that's right.
And many other things. But I always enjoy talking to you because I learned something new every time, and I walk away
Well, thank
inspired.
you.